Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And in just a few minutes, Rich Savinci is going to be with us talking about consultants in the workplace. But in the meantime, I want to talk to you about something that's so foundational and so important in your job search that you need to really pay attention to it. And a lot of people don't like it because it requires a phenomenal amount of self-discipline. I'm going to talk and speak as though you're looking for a job full time. If you are looking for a job while you have a job, some of this is going to alter and some of it's going to change, but you're going to get the gist of it and the idea. This has to do with the mental, physical, and emotional discipline of looking for a job. Next, the death of a spouse, death of a child, death of a parent, coupled with divorce, the fourth most emotional thing we do is look for a job. It's the hardest thing, and people take looking for a job somewhat for granted. It's much more so now these days than it was 50 years ago when I got in this business. It's not uncommon to look for a job. Average job lasts about 2.5 years in the United States. When I got in this business in 1973, it lasted 5 to 7 years. And it's difficult to do because we identify a lot with our jobs. So what I'm going to present here is a structure and a manner in which you can minimize the difficult problems, challenges, and emotional difficulties of finding a job and maximize the time that you have to do it. And that requires a discipline of the day. If you remember that you're looking for a job, you are disciplined on a daily basis. Then you become disciplined on a weekly basis and a monthly basis, and you'll find a job a whole lot easier. The first thing to do is to discipline your mental, your spiritual, and your physical well-being. That requires staying in shape, devoting so much time every day in working out and making sure your body is in tip-top condition. Therefore, your mind is the same way. Spiritually, I recommend, as you know, prayer all the time. You need to constantly be praying throughout your job search because you have to be paying attention to the spiritual side of things. You are going to have a ton of setbacks. In fact, you're going to have as many setbacks as you have advances, and you best be prepared for those, spiritually especially. Sometimes you can get really down, and I find job candidates all the time becoming spiritually uh, challenged. They think the whole world's against me, God's against me, everybody's against me. And you've got to be feeding that your soul all the time. A discipline of spiritual prayer, uh, 3 or 4 times a day, has to be part of your daily routine. And then mentally, you need to be reading all the time the all kinds of reinforcement, um, uh, mental discipline of motivational books and listening to motivational tapes and CDs to keep your discipline up in your mental arena. Because if you don't, for every one thing that happens positively in finding a job, there are going to be 4 or 5 that happen negatively, and it can drain on you. And if you don't pay attention to your spiritual, mental, and physical life, then it's going to be hard to pay attention to keeping up the mental strains that you're going to go through. As you, I recommend in the job search solution a daily routine. And I recommend that some of the things you don't do. A lot of times, the first thing people do is they take a vacation. They go on whatever, and I hear it at least twice a week. Uh, I've had a vacation in years, and that's usually all a bunch of BS. They've had vacations, but the first thing you've got to do is focus on a job. And you don't know how long it's going to take. You don't know how long it'll last. We might find a job in a week. You might find a job in a year. You don't know how long it's going to take, so you need to move as fast as you possibly can. So start disciplining yourself. Don't give me that, well, I hadn't had a vacation in a year, and so I'm going to take some time off before I focus. You better get focused right away. And the first thing you got to do is get a schedule down on a daily schedule, a weekly schedule, and a monthly schedule on finding a job. You need to get up at the same time every morning. You need to start out spiritually and mentally and physically. You need to focus on a daily routine. It is so important to focus on a daily routine that keeps you from getting emotionally and mentally misdirected. You can go in so many directions. You've got to make that daily discipline exact. I recommend it in the job search solution in the video as well as in the books. You've got to start out doing a discipline model every day of prayer, physical. I've mentioned that, but then you need to focus on 20 to 30 calls a day of trying to reach people that'll help you find a job. You just schedule that the night before, and every morning, every day, you start out with 20 to 30 calls every day of trying to get interviews. Getting interviews is the most important thing that you can do. You want to schedule those interviews around late morning, early afternoon is usually the best time. Please try to avoid getting distracted by going to play golf with your buddies or friends of yours, or getting distracted. And it's easy to do because somebody calls up and says, "Oh, I feel badly for you. You're looking for a job. I'll take you to lunch." And you think, "Oh, it's a good idea to go to lunch." It's not a good idea to go to lunch. It's a good idea to get interviews. That's the most important thing you can do next to performing well on those interviews. That's another story. We'll talk about that at a different time. But you're going to have a disciplined day, and you look at your day, 20 to 30 calls every morning, trying to line up and schedule times when you can meet with people, where you can discipline getting interviews on a daily basis and following up with people. Keep a spreadsheet of everybody you've talked to. Keep notes on everything you did. We discussed that in the job search solution. The overriding issue is you've got to be disciplined. If you're not disciplined in your job search, it's going to take a whole lot longer and be a whole lot more difficult than you ever imagined. And most people don't realize that. Find a copy of the job search solution, keep the schedules going, and do the same thing every single day. And don't blow it. And you blow it by not paying attention to a schedule, not keeping a discipline down, not being oriented to that daily routine. The more you keep of the daily routine, the better off you're going to be. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Beshara with the Job Search Solution.